Hey everyone, it's Jeff Fisher of High School Football America, joined today by the head coach at St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California, Jason Negro. And we're here to talk about Trent McDuffie, former Brave playing in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs on Sunday. Thanks for taking the time, coach.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Always appreciate being a part of High School Football America, being a part of your show. Anytime you give us a platform to talk about our student athletes or program, it always seems to go well. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for the kind words. We're always happy to have you here. And boy, how nice is it to have a former player playing in the Super Bowl? Just some original, thoughts from you on the top here about it.
For me, it's pretty special. I think when kids come to St. John Bosco or kids growing up, through the youth leagues and they come into high school, good to go to college, one of the things that they all dream about is going to the NFL and getting to be able to play in the professional ranks. And not only that, but kids want to dream to go play in the Super Bowl. And Trent, is one of those guys that has been able to live out his dream. He got to go and get selected in the first round of the NFL draft and go play at a pretty special place at the right time. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's super hard as well is kids have to be able to hit the timing right. And he certainly hit the jackpot when it came to that. And his play has been able to back up, the evidence that he belongs in that league. And I could not be more excited for him and more, proud of the journey that he has been on over the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely a rising star in the NFL. Came to you guys last year, transferred into you. Some thoughts on first seeing him on the field. What did you think of him? I mean, did you see a future NFL quarterback in the kid when he stepped onto the field there in Bellflower?
Well, it's hard to determine that. We didn't have a bunch of evidence prior to him coming in terms of like, what an NFL corner looks like, within our program. We're kind of still in the infancy of that. But I will tell you this, he was, a separator. He was much different than a lot of the kids, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. I think that's one of the things that is lost a lot, on these young men is, they might have a lot of the physical tools, but if they don't have the necessary social skills and the professional mindset to be able to go out there and do what you need to do in all areas of your life, you're not going to be able to get there. Well, Trent, perfected his craft. He came out there and was a phenomenal athlete, did everything in a very mature way, and he carried himself like a professional. That's one of the things that always stuck out to me as how he conducted himself, both on and off the field. And it doesn't surprise me at all to see where he's at right now.
I was just going to say, what about the progression from Bosco to the University of Washington to the NFL? Can you give a little insight into where has he grown the most?
Well, I think he made really good decisions, to go to the University of Washington. At that time, Jimmy Lake was there as his cornerbacks coach. And I think Jimmy is now the defensive coordinator down in Atlanta, where your guys are at. So, Jimmy Lake was able to be a part of that process. So going through Bosco, I think we prepared him and got him ready to go for the collegiate level. And then the time at which he spent at the University of Washington with Coach Lake and what he was able to do during that phase of his career obviously prepared him, for the NFL. And that's something that you take a lot of pride in as a coach. And, your ultimate goal as an educator or a mentor of young men is to try to use the time period at which you have with these guys to get them ready for the next period. And then hopefully, like, I said earlier with timing, if the timing is right and you're surrounded by really good people, they're going to be able to, kind of navigate you to the next phase of your life. And then he goes into the Kansas City Chiefs with Steve Spagnuolo's done a phenomenal job there as a defensive coordinator, being around a program like Andy Reid. You go from Bosco to Washington to the Chiefs. That's a pretty good, timeline for him. And I think, like I said, everything's timed out really well. And he obviously had the skill set and the mental capacity to be able to do that.
What does it mean for your program? And you and I have talked through the years, especially when I lived out there. You make no secret of the fact that you want to be the best high school football program in America. A couple of national championships with us and other ranking services. Last year, number 3 in the nation, and our national rankings powered by NFL Play Football. What does it mean to have a kid like Trent and some others that you have in the league this year playing at the highest level now?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me, I just want to see growth and development out of young men. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I got into education and I got into coaching. It was because I wanted to be able to make an impact on young people's lives and to see if I can help them, in their journey. And I understand that we only have like a 4-year window to be able to work with these kids until you kind of pass them off. And, as a coach, as a high school educator, that's all you can ask for is, did you do everything within your power to help this kid get to what we call his genetic ceiling? And I think we got Trent to where he had maxed out all of his potential, maxed out all of his abilities. Again, it's not just the football side of things, it's the life side of things, it's the decision making, it's all of those things that you're trying to be involved with and trying to have an impact on to help him, get to the next phase. And I think when he got to college, he was ultimately prepared. So it was a very seamless transition from St. John Bosco to the collegiate level. And that's where I'm most proud. I think what we do here, beyond winning football games and beyond being ranked, in the top 3 in the country year in and year out, is the development of our athletes. And if we can use those guys as evidence to the younger generation of kids coming in, it only strengthens our argument when we say, hey, Bosco's a great destination. Why don't you come here and be great like some of these last guys that have kind of come through our program and already given you the evidence which you as a parent are looking for to get your kid, prepared for the next level. So, Trent, the other guys that have played in our program, gone on to the NFL, they're providing us a ton of data and a ton of evidence that we can use for the next generation of kids.
I think back to 2012, our first year, high school football America's first year in Southern California. You had a pretty darn good quarterback by the name of Josh Rosen. And
Yep.
and I was just curious, Josh obviously went on to play in the league, and
Mhm.
you've had the other guys that have gone on to it. I mean, obviously you didn't set out to develop NFL players, right?
Right.
You
Right.
hoped at one point you would have that, but you know, how surprised are you at the success that's come relatively quickly, right? I mean, literally at this point, that's 10 years from that point I was just talking about, from 2012 to now.
Well, I mean, I think it's all about putting a strategic plan together and, surrounding yourself with really talented people and then going out there and trying to execute it. And one of the things that I think I'm most proud of our program and what we have been able to do here at Bosco is we've evolved since 2012. I mean, it might sound crazy, but think about all the things that we've had to, kind of, navigate around or kind of, hoops to have to jump through or roadblocks that are in our way that we had to kind of, work our way through to where we're at now. And it's hard to stay consistently, excellent in those moments if you're not able to adapt to them, if you're not able to overcome some of those obstacles. And I think, for us, the short period of time, you're right. However, there's been a lot of change. I mean, just with the way that they do things in the environment of collegiate football has completely shifted over the last couple of years, and we're having to kind of manage that as well. Social media is certainly a lot more advanced now than it was back in 2012. I think that's when we started Twitter was back there, and that was my 3rd year here at Bosco. It took us 3 years just to get a Twitter account. So where we're at now to where we started back in 2012, man, it's been a rocket ship type ascension, for our program. But again, I think that's one of the things that excites me the most. It's one of the things that gets, me up in the morning and to the office early, is to say, hey, what new is going to be faced in front of me today that I'm going to have to try to challenge myself and my program to get through, to continue to be as excellent as we have been, during this time period. So it's been a fast rise, but I still think our best days are ahead of us, Jeff. And that's kind of
Yeah.
scary when you think about it.
Well, and I have a lot of respect for you, your staff, Jess Christensen. I think she
Mhm.
actually had a little time at the NFL too. She's your operations person, all that.
Yeah,
Talk a little.
she spent 12 years with the Chargers,
Right.
and did that, and with the LA Clippers. So she's got a very professional mindset, and that's one of the reasons why I think we come off so well in our program. Especially in the media,
Yeah.
has the respect that we have.
Yeah, no, she's a great woman. I just love working with her. And as we wrap up here, I got two final questions. One though being, um, and you talked about the changes, right, at all levels for that matter, but especially at the high school level, NIL, all the things that go into that. Talk a little bit about your approach to putting together a staff. You have got a great staff. You get a lot of accolades. You do all these interviews. Yes, you're the head coach. That's why that happens. But what are some of the things that you're seeing in your staff that make this the program successful? And when somebody comes to you, if you have an opening, what is it you're looking for in a young guy or an older guy that's been around for a while that you ask him before you bring him onto your staff?
Well, I think to answer that piece of the question first, it all is built around trust. Anytime I want to bring somebody into my program, I think the number one thing that I have to be comfortable with is if I can trust this individual in a variety of different ways. As a coach, nowadays, I think the pitfalls that coaches fall under sometimes is they're a product of people, trying to disrupt your program and get you in trouble for either A, the way that you're operating, or B, the decisions that you're making, or some of the things that you might say and you think it's a private conversation and ultimately it's not. So those are some of the scary moments, especially because of social media. And now, we have so much at our fingertips in terms of evidence of things that are going on. So I got to find somebody that I can trust, with my program and the things that we're doing within the program. Is kind of scary at times. You just don't know who you're bringing in, and the background that he might have, and then you're also putting this person or this individual in and putting kids care into his hands. So you got to make sure that you can trust him, and then ultimately you got to have consistency within your staff. I think that's how you build the momentum, and you're able to just make some fine tweaks here and there that you're going to have to evolve. That's going to allow you to continue to be successful. My defensive coordinator has been with me for the entire 14, now going on 15 years. My D line coach, my brother's been with me as my special teams coordinator, runs all of my youth programs, been with me for 21 years. My D coordinator has been with me, or my offense coordinator for 7 now, offensive line for 21. Jesse's been here for 11 years. So those types of things and the consistency that you can have within your staff, it all goes down to human capital. If you could surround yourself with good people, you treat them right, you get them engaged, you're intentional with the way that you're instructing these people, and what your vision is for the entire program, you're going to win. And luckily, I've been able to secure all of that consistency within the program, very little turnover. And I think that's the primary reason why we're continuing to be successful, each and every fall.
Yeah. And I don't think I'm going to ask you at the end here who you're rooting for, but I will ask you this because I read a quote. I think it was in one of the Kansas City newspapers that said, "You're a little nervous watching these games that Trent's playing in."
Right.
What's that all about? You've watched a game or two. You should be relaxed and chill, dude.
I know. Well, it's almost like you have a son out there that you want to see him succeed and you want to see him be, a contributor to the game in a positive manner. And it's not like he's the right guard or his left tackle. And I don't mean to take away from all the positions because we all know that they're pretty important. But Trent's on an island, and he's going to have to cover Debo Samuel, and he's going to have to cover Brandon Ayuk, and in the slot, and he's probably one of the best cover corners, nickel guys in the entire league. Obviously, he's a second year guy playing in his second, NFL. He's an all pro. So I have a lot of confidence in him, but at the same time, it's stressful, for that. And I knew last week when he had to play against, Detroit, or if he was going to have to play against Detroit, I was really nervous because it was going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown from Mater Dei against Trent McDuffie at St. John Bosco. So I was kind of hoping for that, but obviously San Francisco won the game and now he's going to have to play against these guys. But I have a lot of confidence in Trent, but it doesn't take away that you wear your emotions on your sleeve and you got to watch and you get upset stomach a little bit, because I want to see him do well.
Yeah.
One of the things as a coach, regardless of whatever area that they're, moving on into and for their career, whether he was a lawyer, standing in a courtroom, or whether he is a CEO running a business, whatever the case may be, you want your guys to be successful and you want the best for them, just like a parent does for their child. So I want to see Trent be successful. I want to see him win ball games. I want to see him be able to cover the best, wideouts in the league. And when that ball's in the air and I know Trent's covering, it provides me a lot of anxiety. So, but I know he's going to do well. And because I got a lot of confidence, and going back to it, I trust him. So